Hello everyone, and welcome to Torah with your host, Rabbi Aníbal Mas, streaming live from the Asper Jewish Community Campus here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So it's great to see you. If you're online, please say hello. I have people here with me that they already say hello.
Hello, Rabbi.
Or something that sounded like hello. And Jerome is here, Leon is here, Shelley is approaching.
Oh, wonderful.
Shelley is approaching. Very nice. And we are going to continue with the preparation for Passover, for Pesach. Last week was part 1. Sun is going to hit you in the back.
That's fine.
Okay? Okay.
I have to protect my new eyeball. I'm doing the best that I can.
So, I was saying, last week, no, actually 2 weeks ago, we started with the first part of Pesach. Today is part 2. Next week is part 3. And then it's Pesach. And then we won't have a class.
Emilio, hola.
Hey, how are you?
Muy bien, muy
I
bien.
s-
It's good to be
So, we won't have a class the week of Chol HaMoed.
Yes.
You know, this is closed. It's problematic.
Yes.
You can't bring anything from the outside. So I rather don't have a class to avoid any confusion. Hi Maggie, welcome. I was saying that, 2 weeks ago was the first class. Today is the second class of Pesach. Next week it's going to be part 3, and then we have 1 week hiatus during Pesach. Okay, Chol HaMoed, take it easy. Eat matzah. Or not.
frescas intervened.
Or not.
So one more class after
You
this.
see, after 1 week of eating matzah, the phrase "let my people go" takes a different meaning.
Very,
Yeah.
yes, it does. Yes.
Just saying.
Let my people get plugged up.
I'm not saying that I've ever been there, but I heard people that
Pearls become very popular, basically.
just have salad every day and you will be fine.
That's true. Thank you.
That's the thing.
Thank you,
Have
Dr.
salad.
Rabbi.
Somebody recommended have salad, even if it's just lettuce, right? Every day.
Do you want to sell me
It's a
stick?
different
I
meta.
mean, what's your problem?
It's good.
It's a different meta. It's Metamucil.
It's
So, last class, 2 weeks ago, last class, we covered all the way up to the selling of the chametz. Okay, the nullification of the chametz, the burning of the chametz, selling of the chametz. I hope that is clear. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Or if you're at home, hi Amparo, welcome. If you have any question about those steps, please use the chat. Otherwise, you can always replay last class. Today, we are going to start with the preparation of the kitchen for Pesach, and we're going to move from there into some of the meanings of the symbolisms of Pesach and what the holiday really means. Okay? Because it's very complex, Pesach.
very complex.
And on top of that, by the way, we are going to have another class next Wednesday, right?
Wednesday? Oh, yeah.
Wednesday
the
evening.
seal. Yeah, the seal.
It's going to be no. It's in the evening. Remember,
Yes.
with the dinner and everything.
I have a reservation.
You have a reservation. Very good. It's an extra class of Pesach if you want to take the opportunity. It's going to be streamed but over Zoom. So if you want to participate, you need a link. It's going to be different from everything that we've been studying so far. So you're not going to have any overlap, but we are still going to be talking about Pesach. Okay. So I'm going to bring my class here.
Enjoy.
Looks like a lot of sugar.
What happened? What are you asking?
I was looking at this and, oh, is it?
Eat it.
No, it looks,
Sorry.
Shmuel, and also the size. I just came back from Mexico. Reminds me the size of the desserts that they
Yes.
serve there, because it's all you can eat. to avoid, overfilling the plate. They
This
cut
is true.
everything into small pieces,
This is true.
which is fine. Which is fine. Welcome, Holly. Welcome to the class. Okay, so just a quick reminder: when is Pesach? Okay, because even if you forget everything,
Google Pesach 2024.
if you forget everything that I'm gonna say, at least don't at least don't forget when is Pesach. Okay, Pesach is celebrated on the 15th of Nisan. 15th of Nisan, which is the evening of Monday, the 22nd of April. Okay. Now, the funny thing is, and I want to say it again. I'm gonna say it again. Pesach is one day.
Yeah.
One day.
I think you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you say, "Whoa, what do you mean one day? What am I observing for a whole week, or 8 days if you're outside Israel, right?" Well, it's one night of Pesach, and the rest is Chag HaMatzot. Never forget that. You have Pesach, and you have Chag HaMatzot. Okay, so that's the thing. Hi. So, and you know where I actually learned that? It's very appropriate because tonight we have the interfaith Seder here.
Yeah.
Many years ago, one pastor that came to the interfaith Seder, he was invited to present remarks at the beginning. And he was talking about how his church, Christian church, started to also observe the Jewish holidays. He didn't say holidays, he didn't say Jewish holidays. He said the appointed times of the Lord, which is the biblical description.
That's very
The appointed times of the Lord. And he went into listing all the holidays, okay? Or the sacred times. And he mentioned Pesach, and then he mentions Chag HaMatzot as a separate one.
And your brain went.
And then,
Click.
and then I remember all of a sudden the class that I had at seminary decades ago, and how I learned and I totally forgot about it. Because when you go to school, like my son is here at Great Academy, for them, the way they get taught, Pesach and Chag HaMatzot are synonyms.
Yes.
They call it Chag HaPesach, Chag HaMatzot, Chag Aviv, Zman Cheruteinu.
These are all the same.
They have all these names, but they're all referring to the week, right? But this guy was very precise. The appointed times of the Lord, one is Pesach, the Passover, where you eat the sacrifice, and the other one is Chag HaMatzot, when you don't have the lamb anymore, but you still have to eat matzah every day. So, with that in mind, let's see how we prepare our kitchen for Pesach.
Anybody want to come over and do mine?
How do you cashier the kitchen?
How do I close
If you have the
Before I
No, but-
became infirmary, different
but
now.
listen, if you have our Haggadah, the Shari Zedek Haggadah, there are some jokes there.
Yeah, there are.
I don't know if you remember. There is one at the beginning. There is this company announcing the
clean
prices,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have the 3 different prices. That it was Orthodox, and it was super expensive, conservative, that it was most affordable, and then Reformed, that it was very cheap. Depends on the standards of how you want your kitchen to be clean. So because basically,
Fruit is,
if you're Orthodox, the process of cleaning the kitchen
it's brutal.
is brutal. It's brutal,
brutal.
and most likely will take a few
I
days.
can't do it.
Okay, so listen to this. Kosher in the kitchen. We have basically 4 methods. Okay, 4 methods and 4 methods only on how to clean a kitchen for Pesach. And I will start by saying something that is, if you see the text, is at the end. The general rule is called Kevolo Kachpolto. Kevolo Kachpolto, which means as it absorbs, so it sheds. Sheds. As it absorbs the chametz, so it sheds. So it gets rid of it. So that's for you to start making, making room in your head to process what I'm about to say,
Where's the dust going to
because the 4 methods depends on how the utensils or surfaces are used. Okay, let's start. The first one is called Hagalah. What is the Haggalah? It's total immersion in boiling water. So you have a big tank with boiling water, and you're going to immerse things there. What do you think you're going to put there?
Almost everything that you use.
Utensils.
Pots, pans, dishes,
Everything that
plates,
gets, that main
cutlery.
thing is to
everything.
put liquids on it. So because it absorbs through liquids being in contact with the surface,
Right.
it needs to be purified by boiling liquid. Okay, so you have a pan or pot, goes there. Okay,
So like.
and it's just 1, 2. It's a quick process. First, you have to wash it thoroughly, and then you do it. But it has to be a surface that it could be kosher.
Oh, well, stuff like pottery and that kind of thing are too porous, even if they're
Yes.
glazed.
So
Even if
that's why I
it's
said it's
glazed,
very
you can't use
it's
them.
very unusual to have pots and pans. You put there. What people will do, no, is to have the Pesach dishes.
Yeah, that's what
Separate set.
I have these.
Some people will use the boiling water anyway on that to prepare it for Pesach, but it's never been in contact with chametz. Next, okay, so that's number one.
Well, if you have separate dishes though, then you're
Yeah, but
you're good to go.
let's give you an example. Your kitchen sink. How do you purify it?
Wash it with hot water and soap. And
Boiling water.
Yeah.
First, you wash it thoroughly with a new sponge.
yeah,
Then that sponge you have to dispose it because it was in contact with chametz.
right.
But then after you have it washed with detergent and rinse, you will take boiling water
Boil a kettle.
and then you pour it all over, and then it's kosher. And then you have to be careful because as you continue washing the kitchen, then you will never go back there. Okay. Same with the surfaces. Some people say that, for example, if you have expensive granite absorbs too much, so it cannot be kosher. It has to be covered.
Piece of tin foil.
Tin foil, or what we do at home is we have this huge leftover from a project in the house. So they left all these rolls of plastic
Yes.
that it goes between the drywall and the. So we have tons of that, and we just cover the surfaces with that.
Well, my in-laws have like.
It doesn't look
butcher-
pretty, but
my in-laws have like butcher paper. I don't know how you would describe it. It's like a.
same thing, same principle.
Is that what it's called?
It's called butcher paper.
Same principle.
Brown paper.
But you see that you have to be careful because sometimes they have like a wax.
One side is brown paper, and the inside is white.
So some.
You have to make the white
So
side down on the camera.
it's
you
like
don't
a-
have the paper, you can throw it.
A Hasid rabbi would say, there is a Sheila. It wants to just, you have to look at my hand. It was said, there is a Sheila. They will do like this with the finger, right? It's a Sheila. It means, hold on. It means there is a question, okay? To use all this with hot product. Plastic is great,
Yeah.
okay? And aluminum is great too, but it's, I don't know. When I look at these kitchens covered with aluminum foil, I feel like it's
Makes you a little
too
crazy.
much,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you use it for the toilet. Anyway, actually there is a joke about it. There is these maids that they work at Jewish homes, right?
Some of them know more than you do.
And then, hi Marvin.
Hi, Marvin.
There is maids that they are talking about their Jewish employers, right? And I said, one said to the other, these Jews, they are weird people. I said, every week they have one day a week that is called Shabbat, right? They put a beautiful white tablecloth, they eat on the table, they smoke in the bathroom. And said, and they have this other day a year that they call it Tisha B'Av, right? That they put a beautiful white tablecloth. They smoke at the table, but they eat in the bathroom. And then they have this other day a year They call it Yom Kippur. They put a beautiful white tablecloth and they eat and smoke in the bathroom. So I feel Pesach is the same, right? Like we put the mats on the table and then people go and eat the bread in the bathroom. Don't do that, please. Don't do. Okay, so is it clear, the first method? Okay, how is it called? Hagalah. And that's the boiling water.
Okay.
Mostly for surfaces in these days. Second one, libun. Libun. Purification by flame. Blowtorch. Blowtorch. Or flame, you will see. So, using a blowtorch until the surface is heated to a glow. What kind of surfaces?
You have to be stainless steel.
No, it's usually for example, the grills, burners,
Oh, gas stoves, yeah.
okay?
Gas stoves.
You don't use it for surfaces or on metals because those are in contact with fire. So remember I said acid absorbs,
Yeah.
dust it shed.
Yeah.
So if it's in contact with fire all the time because they're burners or a grill, right? So how do you purify it? By flame. The same way. So, but listen to this. Same effect in these days is achieved by leaving the stove top on maximum heat for 5 minutes and or running the self-cleaning cycle of the oven.
That's it. Yeah, sure. We've done that.
Because the temperature it reaches, it will take care of any traces of chametz. You may still have things around, but it's not chametz. It's dust. It's ashes.
Dust to dust.
Okay? So, my case at home, I have glass top. I turn it for 5 minutes on max. You will see that it's glowing for 5 minutes.
Very
Turn it off.
glowing.
Kosher, kosher, kosher. Okay? And the rest, I clean it with some other surface cleaner because there is no way to use the same heat with the other part. Okay? Now the next one is the irui. This is technically the putting the boiling water on top. Okay, the hagalah is immersion, by the way. When it's just pouring on top, it's called irui. I went too fast. Okay? Yeah, but you have to be already using a kosher lepesach pot or kettle. And the last one that is not common, I've never seen anybody doing this because it's extremely complicated. It takes over 48 hours. It's called milui veirui, which is soaking in cold water. Okay? Soaking in cold water. It's for things that contain cold food. Could be, but usually, we are talking about food thing. So technically it could be used, but let's say a Tupperware.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But it cannot be kosher, right? So it's not used anymore, this one. But it still exists and you have to replace the water every 24 hours. You have to do twice the cycle, okay? If you want to kosher it, but there is no way. So again, the general principle of which method to choose is known as kevolog kach polto, as it absorbs so it sheds. So for example, a pot should be immersed in boiling water, while an oven rack should be kosher by fire, etc. So milui veiru is that used for glasses? No, glass cannot be kosher. It absorbs too much chametz. So you should have a kosher lepesach glasses to use. Okay, hello Glenn, welcome also to the class. Welcome to the class. So, yeah, this is always confusing, the cleaning of the kitchen, and you can always be more stringent, always.
Even if it wasn't Pesach, you could still be more stringent.
I saw a video once that a guy from the OU,
I think the glass was turquoise.
no, but listen to this.
Neither did I.
I saw a video of the guy from the OU
Yeah.
showing how to clean a kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who was interviewing him, as soon as he saw that the rabbi with the big beard, he started to put the gloves. And the guy said, "Oh, when you see the rabbi put on gloves, you can tell that he knows what he's doing." He looks so professional, right, with the gloves. And what he was doing actually was giving some tips when you put the water over surfaces, how he was sticking plastic at the edge
Yeah.
so you won't go to the floor.
Yes.
Very interesting
Curling it underneath.
tricks
So
and,
it's just
tricks and tips on how to make it better.
Glass absorbs?
Glass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I known it to absorb.
I was always taught, going back to Zalman Schachter days, that if this was for people who were starting out, if you didn't have two sets of dishes, you could always use glass.
Never use it. I always have two sets.
But I'm going back 50 years.
Kosher
I'm going
and
back
glass.
50, 60 years.
That's interesting. I never.
Glass that we use for both. All you had to do was put boiling water over it. It's brought it back to neutral.
Once upon a time, I think that was true, but I guess it's not true anymore.
Shulchan Aruch is.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Okay, yeah. You could use glass. I don't use it. I just replace everything. Yeah, it could be. You can use glass.
Which was going to bring me to my question, which I was going to ask you after the class. I have separate everything,
Yeah.
but it's all in boxes downstairs. I'm at a point now where I can't schlep all that stuff up, but I have glass dishes in the kitchen. I can use those.
You have to You have to
Oh,
kosher.
I have to kosher them.
Yeah.
But I can use those. But to bring up the cutlery is not a big deal. It's it's this much cutlery. But the cases of dishes and stuff,
Yeah,
I can't do it.
basically, what we've been doing lately is, especially during COVID, that we didn't have people for the Seder.
Well,
We were the amount of things that we have to move up is so minimal.
that's right.
That so you have to do it in a way that you select what you bring up.
I'm making a Seder this year. That's why I'm asking.
Oh.
Because in previous years, very small.
Whoever's
very
come
small.
to the Seder needs to go to your house to help you.
It's not for them. For them, it's not going to be an issue. They just happen to come. But for me, it's always for me, it's a terrible issue. But I reached a point some years ago, as my bones were becoming, that this part of the kitchen didn't exist anymore.
Oh,
I taped it off. Just tape the cupboards off.
Yeah, that's
Take
what
the
we
whole
do.
week. This doesn't exist anymore.
That's what we
It's
do.
like, this is Pesach. This is I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, even at Superstore, like they'll have a sign, for instance, say kosher, but not for Passover.
Yeah.
So that people
Yeah.
know.
But-
Okay,
but
so let's
only-
continue. Otherwise,
only
guys,
I
it's
suddenly realized
only
that-
we are already 30 minutes into the class and I cover only one slide. Okay, next one is about the Haggadah. Let's start talking about Pesach.
Yeah.
Why do we need a Haggadah? Because it's a mitzvah from the Torah that in the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse
we
8,
should tell the order of the
it
Seder.
said, Vehigadeta levincha bayom ha'u lemor, ba'avur ze asa Adonai li betzeitim mitzrayim. It said, on that day, you are to tell your son or your child in these days, we say, right? So how do you say you are to tell vehigadeta? So the word Haggadah comes from the word vehigadeta. So the Haggadah means it's the book that tells the story.
Yes.
So you are to tell your son, it is because of what Adonai did for me when I left Egypt. What did God do? You have to come to the Seder to find out, right? If the mitzvah,
That's on page 50.
if the mitzvah of Higadeti,
You don't skip it.
no, but if the mitzvah of Higadeta is to tell the story of the Exodus, what do you think you're going to find in the Haggadah?
The story of the Exodus.
With a lot of emphasis of what God did for the Jewish people. And that's why,
With strong-handed and outstretched arm.
yeah, and that's why the name of Moses is not present in the Haggadah. Right? Because the mitzvah is you have to tell what God did. It doesn't say what God and Moses or what Moses did. So because the mitzvah is you have to tell what God did, the only thing mentioned in the Haggadah is what God did. Okay? So I thought it was very interesting the way it was interpreted, this verse, and how the book was built to fulfill this mitzvah. So the name of Moses It's not there just to make it clear that God was the one. Moses was the prophet.
It mentions the plagues, but it doesn't mention the process.
So by the way, if you happen to have Netflix,
Yeah.
watch Testament.
Yeah. Story of Moses, yeah.
It's 3 episodes. Very enjoyable. It's brand new.
I've been told
It goes like a mini
I'll have to
series,
invite myself over to somebody's house.
but it goes like it's like a mini series, but it stops at selected times, and you can hear scholars from different religions talking about their understanding. And there are some things that are very interesting. You know the Parshat Yitro.
Yes.
What happened with Parshat Yitro?
That's when Yitro comes and tells them you're doing things stupidly, you need more judges to help
Well,
you.
in this movie, actually, it says it's Moses going to see Yitro. Because basically Midian was on their way. So the basic, I guess, the interpretation is if the people of Israel had to go through Midian, wouldn't Moses go to see Yitro? So the interpretation of Yitro came is Moses entered and then he came to say welcome. Right? So you see that all makes sense. It's not that Yitro took the horse and went,
Yitro might have come a little earlier to bring his wife and children to him.
but they didn't know what they were. There was no email back then.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but Moses knew where Yitro was.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And then there, Yitro said, he noticed that Moses was on the verge of burnout and give him
And
the
that's-
advice. Moses was depressed because of
Yes, he
everything,
was.
right? And Yitro was saying to Moses, remember when you came to my house when you were escaping Egypt, right? Remember how I was overwhelmed and you helped me with the
That's
flock.
when he teaches them, he tells them you have to learn to delegate.
And then he said, well, it's time for you to allow somebody else to
You
help
have
you.
to delegate.
Beautiful. It's not based on Midrashim, but from different religions.
Yes.
So they have those beautiful, beautiful conversations. Okay. So this is why we have the Haggadah. Next. Now, what do we do during the Seder? How many cups? 4. Why 4? It's called the 4 verses of deliverance. There is a verse, there are 4 verses. And I will take you, I will redeem you.
I'm not used to hearing the
I will
word
free you,
deliverance in a
right?
Jewish context.
So 4. Everything is 4. But we have to understand and to remember that the 4 questions that we have in the Seder, the Manishtana,
Yeah.
are not the original 4.
No, they're not. They would change.
I'll show you first what the Mishnah says, and then let's see if you can catch which one is different. Okay? I will read now the whole text of the Mishnah. Pay attention. The Mishnah says, talking about the Seder, they pour the second cup for the Seder leader, and the child then questions his father. If the child is not knowledgeable, then his father teaches him. Okay? Why not? So, question. Why is this night different from all other nights? That's how it starts. Number 1, on all other nights we eat both leavened and well as unleavened bread. But on this night we eat only unleavened bread. Number 2, on all other nights we eat all kinds of vegetables. But on this night we eat bitter herbs. 3, on all other nights we eat meat that is roasted, stewed, or cooked. But on this night we only eat roasted. Number 4, on all other nights we dip once. But on this night we dip twice. The father must instruct his son according to his son's intelligence. He begins with shame and concludes with praise. Which one? Which one doesn't fit?
The question?
Which one is the one that is?
One of the meats.
Yes. Number 3. Why? Because back in the Mishnah times, they were still eating the sacrifice. The Pesach sacrifice. That's why Pesach is called Pesach. It's not because Passover. It's the lamb that they ate. That's why in this day Passover
And
makes
we
more
don't.
sense. Passover makes more sense because we don't have the lamb, So at least Passover, it has some historical reference. Okay? So that's why in English it's like that. Yeah, Holly Mandel Kern got it right. She said number 3. So so basically said in all other nights we can eat the meat however we want.
Well, that makes sense.
You can even boil it, you can fry it, right? But on this night, why just roast it? Because that's what the Torah says, that the Pesach lamb have to be roasted. Okay? Once the temple was destroyed, the rabbi said, no more lamb. Especially Ashkenazi kept that. No more lamb.
And obviously you're using oil for other things, but this is referencing specifically meat.
Yeah, this is roasted, so no oil involved.
That's what I'm saying. But oil is used for other things, but not as it relates to
On Pesach,
Yeah.
basically, it's interesting. Oil is not part of the traditional Pesach recipes. Fat is.
Fat.
Right.
Schmaltz.
Schmaltz. And you see the Chabad uses only schmaltz. They don't accept any kind of oil as kosher for Passover. Yeah. Yeah. So question number 3 was replaced for the reclining. Now we recline. And you can tell that there is an innovation that came way after. The reclining it's already influenced by the Roman tradition. Right? You will see multiple sources where they will despite Romans reclining as they were eating as a symbol of freedom.
And luxury.
So basically the free citizens of Rome will eat that way. Well, all other people in Rome, they were not allowed to eat reclining. So that's why it was changed to reclining as a symbol of freedom within that culture. Yes.
Rabbi, you said no lamb. Are we forbidden?
Sephardic, they do have recipes with lamb. Ashkenazi, we don't.
Oh, no lamb for Pesach, but lamb any other time is okay? Oh,
No
okay.
lamb at Pesach.
Yeah,
That's what I
Ashkenazi took a very stringent approach. I said no lamb because we have no temple. The Sephardic said yes lamb, but in different recipes,
Yes.
in remembrance of the lamb of the temple.
That's what we get so tired of chicken during Pesach.
That it was replaced for chicken.
Chicken,
Yeah,
turkey,
but
brisket.
just to
Brisket
not
for
use the
you.
lamb. Okay.
And Joel's brisket.
So the 4 questions. 4 questions. Now it's interesting that, listen to this. We don't, now Rashi, Rashbam and Rambam, all the way we are going, all the way Middle Ages and after, right? After the text of the Haggadah was pretty much sealed and fixed already. They said, listen to this, what they said back then, even though the Haggadah was done. We don't force a child to ask questions,
Okay.
but instead we perform acts that pique the child's curiosity. How? Well, we may change the regular order of the meal, or hand out candies, or use other creative methods in the hope that the child will ask about their meaning and be prepared mentally and emotionally to hear the story of the Exodus. I did it once and it worked pretty well. Remember, I put we all have the same Haggadah, and I put 4 other versions of the Haggadah on the table. And I said, why? Yeah, why do we have all these other versions here? I said, well, because they are different Haggadot, that they add artwork or some other text,
I've done that. Every
Boom.
plate gets a different.
and then you get them asking questions. So what I'm saying is, don't be nervous about being creative during the Seder. All the way from Rashi to Rambam, they said that's fine. That's the whole idea. It doesn't make any sense to have a very stringent, by the Haggadah kind of Seder. And then it's boring. Kids don't get anything out of it.
And the wonderful thing is now there are so many Haggadot available for
Yeah.
small children, middle-aged children,
Yeah,
musical. They're
but
just
nothing like the
exciting.
Shari Zedek Haggadah.
Yeah, I think it's the best, and you should not
Nothing like
change
that.
it. You should not
Sponsored by Vicar Nissan.
change it. I think it's just,
I love it because they said they want to sponsor because it's the month of Nissan.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Which not everybody gets, by the
but
way.
it's a brilliant piece of marketing.
It's beautiful.
In the month of Nissan, they sponsor the Haggadah, and who is it? Nissan.
Yeah. And not only that, the contents are pretty good too.
I wonder, a stretch will be Nissan takes you out of Egypt.
You can never change the taste of theirs, otherwise they've got nothing to go with.
By the way,
And
that
they
was
can never change their dealership.
I know the owners, right, of Nissan.
Yes, I know.
That's Steven.
Yes.
And I had the idea of make the connection of the two. I said, dude, this is an opportunity for you. I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And he did it.
How are ya? Good, good.
Because I don't know if you remember, the first one to ever sponsor the Haggadah was Lorne Weiss.
Yes.
Oh, right.
He did it for a couple of years, and then he said, okay, it's time for somebody else to pick it up, right? And then they jump at the opportunity right away. Okay, let's continue. Now, the other thing that we have to understand during Pesach, and this is something that is not necessarily present in the Haggadah, but people always ask, is why did we need slavery? Let me rephrase.
Need slavery?
Yeah, if everything comes from God, nothing is random, okay?
Then why did God put them in
Why would
slavery?
God take the Jewish people and put them in Egypt for over a couple of hundred years, right? Everything has a purpose. In fact, the rabbis would say that the highest level of faith that a Jew can attain, the highest level of faith, right, is to truly feel in your kishkas, right, that there is a purpose for everything, and everything is for the very good. Most people struggle with this. It's one of the most difficult to digest parts of religion, right? Because, but everything. Look, good luck trying to explain that to a family that lost somebody on October 7th, right?
Go find an answer.
And yet, you talk to people in Israel, and some people, they still have faith. I say, how can you?
They do.
How can you, after what happened to your family? How can you still go to synagogue every day? Right? And all you can say is,
It's something to hold on to.
good for you that you can find that kind of peace in the middle of this disaster.
I don't
Okay.
know if it's peace. It's something to hold on to.
So,
It's a grounding,
in the,
stability.
I guess it's easier for us to analyze things that happened a long time ago.
We're still trying to figure out the Holocaust, the first Holocaust.
Correct. And the thing is, when the temples were destroyed,
How could God have allowed it?
right, that was the biggest tragedy of the Jewish people. So, but then again, how could that happen? So many people were slaughtered by Babylonians and Romans, right?
Yes.
How? And yet, the Talmud eventually, they tried to explain it theologically. Well, the temple was destroyed because number one, they were worshiping idols. Number two, because there were hatred among brothers, right? So I guess it's easier to talk about past events when it happened 2,000 years ago, right? And this is the same. Now that the Exodus happened 3,500 years ago, it's easier for us to talk about it, and it's part of Jewish theology to try to understand the why.
And also, Rabbi, I think because we don't have a physical connection, an antecedent connection, a
Yeah.
family connection.
Yeah.
We
So-
can't go back far enough.
so I wanted to present to you-
relate to it on an individual level.
I partially subscribe to this, that you can explain the Holocaust as being God's way to prepare the world for a state of Israel.
So let's.
I can live with it. I'm
I
not
think.
sure I can swallow
I
it,
think.
but I can live
To
with
be
it.
honest.
No, I understand what you're
To
saying.
be honest, I think it's too soon to try to do this exercise with the Holocaust. It's too soon. Eventually, maybe in 500 years, rabbis will talk to the Holocaust like we talk about the destruction of the temple or the Exodus or the slavery in Egypt. Who knows? Who knows? But here, The rabbi, let me tell you, this is part of Moses' recap of his life before he died in the book of Deuteronomy. Okay? Moses is talking to the Jewish people, and Moses said, but God took and brought out of Egypt, right? So God is telling the Jewish people, remember, God took you out of Egypt. That iron blast furnace, that's the description that Moses makes of Egypt. Iron blast furnace. Okay? To be God's very own people, as is now the case. So what it seems to imply is that for people of Israel, for the people of Israel to become God's very own people, for some reason they have to go through
Be purified through fire.
this. We'll
Or
see.
heat.
We'll see. I think you're in the right neighborhood here, Shelley. It has to be some kind of, Moses is giving a metaphor of something that is used to purify metals.
Yeah.
Okay? So what was the impurity that we had? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so Rashi explained, iron blast furnace is a vessel for purifying gold. Okay? Purifying gold. Gold at the time was the metal. The
Still
metal.
is.
Now we have platinum and
We
other
have
things.
platinum to tea.
Yeah.
Most typical.
Okay, so let's continue. I will present one opinion from Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg. Big friend of you, right?
Absolutely.
Said that he was Germany, 1700s, late 1700s.
We're just a cocoa.
Yeah. Says, Egypt is compared to an iron crucible because God's true purpose behind the Egyptian slavery was to purify the Jewish people of their baser characteristic, just as gold is purified in a crucible. He wanted to remove the base metals so that only pure gold will remain. To this end, many of those Jews who were unworthy actually died in the plague of darkness. And only those who remain were chosen to receive the Torah. That's what this rabbi said. That he said that actually many Jews died in Egypt because there will be no way that they will have any chance to become free people. And we all know this. We all know these people, right? And it makes us crazy sometimes. People that they think so little about themselves, and you try to talk to them and explain to them how special and worthy they are, but they can never see it. That ever happens to you? That it's like talking to a wall, and you can see it, and they can't. And then
Possible. And one of the reasons being, I think, is the psychological aspect. They have been told
Yeah.
by life and by the people that should love and support them that they're worthless human beings.
But then I don't have any of it. When I was
Yeah.
in Korea.
So I think in part of the slavery at the end
I'm sure.
is for people to, to go so low in the feeling of slavery that you will say, I don't ever want this again in my life. I've been there, I felt it, I experienced it, I want to be free. But unfortunately, even though
It's like
they
once you
suppose,
taste sugar, you want
even
it
with all the
time.
purification process, you can tell that it was not fully completed because many of them, they wanted to go back to Egypt as soon as they had a chance. And then that's why, spoiler alert, that's why we have the extra purification of the counting of the Omer between Pesach and Shavuot. So we have to finish that process ourselves after Pesach. So let's continue. Look. I want to bring something that is very interesting also. What was the source of the impurity? And the rabbi said there was some of the impurity that it was passed to them came from Abraham. Abraham wasn't perfect. Okay, and it's his imperfection as the father of the Jewish people somehow was passed. Listen to this. Then God said to him, it's a book of Genesis. God said to him, to Abraham, I am the Lord who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans, or Ur Kasdim, right? To assign you this land. Which land? Which land? Israel. Israel. Okay, to assign you this land to you as a possession. You are Abraham. What will you say?
What the hell do I do now?
Listen what he said. Abraham said, "O Lord, how shall I know that I am to possess it?" What is he showing?
Humility.
God's ability.
Doubt. Doubt. And remember, we talked about that before. What is when we study Purim? What is the source of doubt? The snake. The snake of Genesis is this, and then that became Amalek. That became Haman, right? That became anti-Semitism. Doubt. Doubt. So doubt is a big enemy. Doubt is what,
Doubt is always with us.
you know what? This is something that sometimes you will see elite athletes that you can tell that they have the talent, but then they fail, and what they do is they go to specialized psychologists. That's called sports psychology.
Sports
What did
psychology.
they tell you?
You can do this.
Stop doubting yourself. It happened with singers that they cannot hit high notes. You know, they go to take singing lessons, and they're amazing. They go on stage and they crack.
Yeah.
They choke. Why? Because they have
No confidence.
doubt. So, what does talent do to you if you go ahead with your talent but also with doubt?
It limits it. Limits the talent.
So, that's why, unfortunately, Abraham had great qualities. You know, open house, hospitality. He was a giver, but he still had doubt.
Yeah.
He still has doubt, which sometimes you say, well, he was a humble person, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be never confuse humility with having low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm unworthy. No, you're not unworthy. I'm telling you, this is yours. You earn it. It's yours. So, the rabbi said after this, listen to this, in the Talmud, okay? Rabbi Abahu said in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, why was Abraham punished by having his descendants enslaved for 210 years in Egypt? Why? Shmuel answered, because Abraham doubted God's credibility in fulfilling his promise. This is reflected in the verse, how shall I know that I am to possess it? Okay? Very important. And we learn here we have to deal with our own doubts. It's also part of Pesach. To be free. This is sometimes doubt gets us enslaved. Well, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can move to the next level. I don't know if I should take that promotion. Right? What if it's too much for me to chew? Well, you learn to chew more. You learn to open your mouth wider. Right?
It takes decades to learn how to do that, Rabbi. Trust me.
Well,
It took me 50 years.
well, they will say, basically the rabbis will say it took 210 years to the Jewish people to figure that out, and they still didn't fully get it. Because doubt is something very difficult to get rid of. And you will see it again, you will see with elite athletes that they will do great, but for a while. And then they struggle. And they need to go and talk again. Anyway, let's continue. So God placed this is the Maharal of Prague talking. Okay, the father of the golem. Let's put it that way. God placed Abraham's descendants in exile because he was lacking in his belief and trust in God. Okay, Abraham's faith in God wasn't perfect. God therefore placed his descendants in exile in order that they would correct this mistake and truly trust in God. They would also see the power of God's deeds for those whom he loves, as well as the awesome power God showed to the Egyptians through the plagues. Remember that the Jewish people could have been freed way earlier. When were they freed? When they cried out to God.
I mean, they didn't cry out to God before.
No? They tried to become functional in their dysfunctionality. Isn't that what happens to all of us?
Embrace the slavery.
You try to find a way to be comfortable within that dysfunction that is around you. And it happens in families, right? It's very difficult to break a cycle of dysfunction.
So back to where we were before, you're not worthy.
You will see also, again, you will see, and I've seen it many times, families, that they carry dysfunction for generations.
Sadly, that's true.
Cycles of abuse. That until there is one that breaks that and becomes a functional family.
Or becomes a functional person and
But then-
raises their own function.
But we
their
all
own
know,
family.
people don't talk much about this. But
We
we all,
don't talk about our personal pain about it.
but we probably all know examples of this, either within our own families or somebody close to us. Am I right?
Very,
Yeah.
very.
So this is what happened. So eventually, when they had enough faith in God that God will be able to help them, they were worthy to be redeemed. Because before somebody can help you, you have to believe that you have what it takes to do. It happened with people that they are enslaved by drugs or addictions, right? You can actually do an intervention and put them in an institution. It will be a failure until they are ready. And they cried
No
out.
question about that.
They cried out. They said, "I have it. I had it enough."
It's that old expression, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
And since I spent a lot of time with
So-
horses in my life,
Another comment said the patriarchs and matriarchs were to be the foundation of the Jewish people. Therefore, it was crucial that even the most minuscule personal flaws be rectified. Okay? Since even a small defect in the foundation can compromise the integrity of the entire structure. So that's the
Yet the process didn't really work because they were barely out and they wanted to go back.
yeah, well, but that was eventually cleaned out all along the
the
way.
fear of the unknown
Right.
versus the-
Until, but you see what I mean? The dysfunction that continues,
Yeah.
that eventually mostly ended with the generation of Joshua.
Right.
When they learned from their mistakes. They didn't send 12 spies the second time. How many did they send? Two. Two spies, because now they learned to trust each other. The Midrash said, why did they send 12 spies? Well, because if you were from the tribe of Shimon, I was from the tribe of Levi, why would I trust you? Right? Eventually they learned to trust each other, and they said only two. Because they had no doubt that the report will be faithful. But before they had doubt kept coming back to hurt. Especially with the, perhaps we won't be able to defeat the giants in the land. Remember that?
So doubts.
When Joshua's
Fruits are
opportunity,
big, but so are the people.
when Joshua's opportunity came, go read it. There is no doubt. We're going to win it. And then when they went around Jericho, right?
Yes.
There is a fascinating thing there. When they went around Jericho, what did they have to do?
Yeah, but the Lord was shofar. Continue.
No, that was at the end.
Okay.
Before, it said you have to go around and circle it and it said Alte daber dabar. Alte daber dabar. I think it said, don't say anything along the way.
Is this like another Sheva Brachos?
No, but why this? Why would God say don't say anything along the way? You have to be quiet.
Just the,
It's not a military
well,
strategy.
it's an intimidation.
No, it's
You're not
that.
allowing them to,
That's how you see. That's how you plan doubt.
in their mind.
Because the mind is fine. Just don't talk about it. That's the problem. You know, with people that they will doubt it themselves. And they go and tell everybody the doubts they have about themselves.
What
Just
if this happens? What if
shut
that
up.
happens? Yeah.
Keep it to yourself. It's a thought. You know what happened with
Nobody
thoughts?
wants to know and nobody needs to know.
You know what happened with thoughts? They come and go. Thoughts come and go. But once you say something,
It's out.
you gave birth to something. Okay, so in Judaism, we are very careful what we say. Not so much about what we think, but what we say.
You can translate that into silent prayer and shul.
Yeah, it's not valid. You have to at least.
Unless
Talking.
if you whisper it loud enough
Yes.
that you can hear it. But saying
Okay.
it inside your head doesn't count.
Okay, everyone, it's 12. It's 1:02. We have to
Wrong
finish.
place for all of us.
We have to finish. So thank you, everyone, for coming out or tuning in. And as we continue with our preparation for Pesach, I want to remind you that we have a special class on Pesach. Special class. Where is it? This Wednesday, right? Is this Wednesday? We have 6 p.m. the Mincha service. You can come or not.
And then the nine,
Then 6:45 there is a little bit to eat, and then 7 p.m. we start with the lesson. It's up for about an hour.
you live very little.
So because the streaming, if you cannot make it, because the streaming is going to be over Zoom,
Yeah.
you'll need a link.
Right.
Okay, if you're not coming in person. So if you guys at home want to attend, please contact the office to get the Zoom link. See you then. And remember, this class is going to be rebroadcasted tonight at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
8 p.m. Central Time. So you can catch it from the beginning. Until then, thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful continuation of the preparation for Pesach. See you next week.